going to do that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yep, chapter 6, Unbreakable Brain. Let me just make some coffee really quick, as I am very excited about my new baby, which is my own personalized drip coffee. I am not a Starbucks endorser, but I am just excited about that because drip coffee is my favorite way of drinking coffee. And so my daughter works for Starbucks, and I asked her to get me a French press so I could use this for camping. We don't need electricity to make our coffee. We always hook up, but it's nice sometimes when you're not hooked up not to have to wake up the neighbors. You know what I mean? And then I asked Sabine to also buy me this blonde roast. My husband likes his coffee really dark, really strong. I don't. I just use 1 scoop. Double situation. Okay. Then so that's, and then this is the drip process. And then my hot water is going, so I'm gonna start pouring that in. You have to use really hot water. Okay, I'm gonna get that here, and then while that's dripping, I put in some flaxseed already. And this goes in the refrigerator. Guys, don't forget to refrigerate your flaxseed or else it's going to go bad on us. Then I need knife. My ghee. As much as I want to make it creamy. Whatever you feel like putting. There's no right or wrong way to go about this. Except the MCT. Start with 1/8 of a teaspoon if you're just starting out. I put a lot now. Because when we wake up in the morning, our brains, our bodies always need fat. And so you wake up and then your body yells, does Sam have any fat storage there? Because we need it for energy. And if I don't have fat, my body will make the fat. 90% of the fat that we make or our from the that's showing here in our gut, our thighs and all that, it's made by us, not because we ate it. So don't be thinking that that is a process when it's not. Okay, that's almost done. And I'm gonna pour it in this other cup so I can see the dripping going on. And I pour it in my other cup, but not all of it. And I'm going to continue to add more hot water so I can utilize every bit of that ground. And I'm gonna blitz this. Now the frothier, the better, the more yummier. And I stopped using my cappuccino frother because it takes forever to get the frothy that I like. And the hand mixer, the emulsifier is really, really so much stronger. So it gets the job done quicker. And the frothier, the yummier. So this gets the job done faster. All right, super frothy coffee. All right, here we go. All set. I'm gonna move this over here for my cup later, and then we're going to start reading from chapter 6. Taste this coffee. Mm-hmm. The fat and the butter taste so good. I'm gonna add the rest of the hot coffee, and then mix it a tiny bit more, just a little bit more. And again, guys, there's no right or wrong way to go about this. For some reason, there was a chunk of butter that was not frothed in there. I just wanted to get that baby in this super frothy coffee. I don't know if you guys can see this. The sun is shining in my kitchen so brightly. I love windows, and when we renovated this house, we put the windows as much as possible. So the fat comes in, and then they signal. Now they're signaling, we've got it. Sam's got it. She's already having fat. No need to produce more fat. And so, and then the brain, the fats will be utilized by my liver. It goes straight to the liver. That's why you aerate it, right? So that it goes straight there. And then so that it can immediately used by the brain as ketones. And then when our brain has it, then we can do what we have to do for the day, right? So I'm all about the brain. That's why I love this book, The Unbreakable Brain, by Will Mitchell. And this was published in 2015. He is a nutritionist. He is also a doctor in Oriental medicine, which is what I love, because the Orientals, the Asians like me, we're all about preventative medicine. That's why they have those green tea with every meal, right? That's why the Koreans have probiotics. They're having medicine as their part of their food. It's all about prevention, not treating it after the fact, right? Because we don't even want to feel the pains. There's enough pains already in this world. Okay, chapter 6, smart supplementation. So as we mentioned before, we read from chapter 4 last week, and that was your brain on drugs. And we read after that on Friday, chapter 5, what does your brain need? And so if you want to go back to my videos on Instagram, it's in my IGTVs. I always save all the talks for anyone to check out after. And then on my Facebook, I always save it there under my videos for you guys who are working, or just, when I know how moms are. I'm a mom of 6, so sometimes 8 o'clock doesn't work. I totally get it. And you can watch it next week or tonight, whenever you're cooking or something. But I just get on here for anyone who's willing to listen about what these books have to say. And I encourage you guys to try it out. Hi, Cynthia. Good morning. Thank you for hopping on. Okay, chapter 6, smart supplementation when food is not enough. The typical American diet often fails to provide adults with the nutrients needed for health. Even individuals who take great pains to eat well, consuming no processed foods, which is so impossible in today's age, by the way, little to no sugar, again, very hard, especially when Cynthia makes her flan. I cannot resist. I love that flan. And only organic produced and pasteurized meats. Those three things are so hard to do, by the way. Can do nothing about the fact that modern farming techniques have depleted the soil of many of the nutrients which have historically been part of our food chain. Crops are not rotated as they used to be. Remember in the Bible, um, they rest the crops for 7 years and then they plant over here. Um, ooh, Cynthia's on her way to the park. Are you walking today, Cynthia? That's great. I'll see you on Thursday or Friday. So I'm walking Tuesday, Thursday, Friday while Sabine has soccer, since I'm already there. Anyway, going back. So I remember Dr. Gundry in the Bulletproof, Dr. Gundry's Diet Evolution in this book, he mentions the same thing about our crops, right? And over there, he mentioned the year. He said, when do you think the government issued that statement that our crops were depleted? Was it in the year 1990s? He said no. Was it in the 70s? He said no. Was it in the 50s? He said no. Was it in the 40s? He said no. It was actually since 1930s, 1936 to be exact, that the government issued and stated that our crops don't contain the same nutritional value because of the poor rotation, right? Additionally, American farms are often designed around the philosophy of making everything taste better. And thus, the crops grown with high fructose content, not nutritional value, as the primary goal, consider the evolution of corn, a staple of the American diet. Just consider that one thing alone. Here we go. The wild ancestors of our present day corn is a grassy plant called teosinte. Oh, teosinte. I don't know how to say that. Teosinte? I don't know. It's hard to see the family resemblance. Like if you saw the old wild corn to today's corn, you wouldn't even think that the old wild corn was corn. Teosinte, I don't know how to say that, is a bushy plant with short spikes of grain instead of ears. Each spike has only 5 to 12 kernels. The kernels are encased in shells so dense you'd need a hammer to crack them open. Kind of like a walnut, huh? Once you extract the kernels, you wonder why you even bothered. The dry tidbit of food is a lot of starch and very little sugar. Good. Hang on with me here. Teosinte, whatever that name is wild corn, has 10 times more protein than corn we eat today. But it was not soft or sweet enough to tempt our ancestors. So a lot of protein. What has a lot of protein? Broccoli. They say there's more protein in broccoli than a piece of steak. Over the several thousand years, this wild corn underwent several spontaneous mutations. Nature's rewriting of the genome freed the kernels of their cases and turned a spike of grain into a cob with kernels of many colors. Our ancestors decided that this transformed corn was tasty enough to plant in their gardens. By the 1400s, corn was central to the diet of people living throughout Mexico and the Americas. Hmm. Many recent studies have pointed out that while children need more nutrients to grow, older individuals like me also need more nutrients to counterbalance the malabsorption associated with advancing age. As humans get older, the GI tract performs its functions with less and less proficiency. Cynthia, weren't we just talking about this? Compounding this effect is that many medications commonly taken by the baby boomers interfere with the absorption of nutrients. I want to slow down there for a sec. So the older I get, the weaker my GI tract gets. And then because of the medications I take for my heart, pre-diabetes, I'm talking about what I used to take 3 years ago. Because of medications like that, it interferes with the absorption of the little nutrients that I eat from my foods. So not only is the farming less nutrients, but when I do eat those nutrients, there's malabsorption because of the pharmaceuticals that I commonly take, like ibuprofen for pain medication. And since I birthed 6 kids, there's a lot of antibiotics, a lot of painkillers. Mm. And then to top that off, as we get older, we get more and more gut issues. Okay, so it's clear that there are times when food alone is not enough, because how much would you have to eat to make sure when Europeans then began colonizing the Americas, they made note of the rich variety of colors. So in the documentation, including the red, blue, and green associated with what we would now recognize as modern corn. But during American Revolution, they discovered the sweet yellow variety, which they then selectively bred over time into the super sweet white corn we mostly consume today, a variety that's orders of magnitude sweeter than the colorful varieties and with a fraction of the nutrient density. That's why my husband and I, when we were watching the Taco Chronicles on Netflix, there's a group of people in Mexico that are trying to make their tortillas from this original colorful corn that's not perfectly yellow, that's blue, red, and all that. Yeah, no problem, Cynthia. I'm have fun walking. She said she's just listening to me while she's walking. Totally, totally. But I'm just like, I just thought of you because we just had this conversation. Anyway, the degrees of separation between ancient wild corn and modern corn are many. And this is just one of the countless examples of how our crops have changed to lose vital nutrients. Research has demonstrated that flash frozen fruits and vegetables are now often superior in nutrition to their fresh cousins. So buy frozen, because the fresh produce is picked too early to allow it to be handled without bruising and then shelved for days or even weeks before purchase. Fresh fruits and vegetables purchased at the grocery store are shockingly, even at many farmers markets, have often been transported via non-refrigerated trucks, placed in warehouses, and shelved waiting for your purchase, its nutritional value degrading with each passing hour. So, okay, frozen. If you have no choices, buy frozen. The result, a tomato grown, harvested, and transported to market today will bear little nutrition resemblance to a tomato grown even half a century ago. This is why we need supplements to support our health, to plug all the holes, literally the holes, because, it's leaky gut now, right? And meet our basic nutrient needs. So this is the foundation, y'all. This is the foundation. Besides even doing anything else, besides even, all the extra collagen, all these things that people go for, supplementation is like the super foundations, vitamins and supplements. We need to do that first, okay? You could make up for deficiencies, he says. You can? Food is not enough for that pregnant woman while her body is working to weave together her embryo's neural tube. And it's probably not enough for those who have hit menopause or their later years and who are in multiple medications because of the malabsorption, right? But the good news is the current state of evidence absolutely supports the use of supplements for cognition, which means that very likely the right supplements can make a positive impact on your brain. They won't cure everything, but there are a lot to be excited about. Let's unpack the facts and find out more. So he goes on to share with us what he proposes are the best vitamins for our brain. Okay. He starts off with there. He says the essential vitamins. Thank you, Bailey. What time is your work?
I have work today.
You don't know? Okay, cool. There are 13 essential vitamins called that because your body cannot make enough of them on its own. So you have to ingest or inject them. Those 13 essential vitamins are like literally, you have to make sure this is in your multivitamin, right? Vitamin A, vitamin 8B complexes, which is B1, thiamine, B2, riboflavin, B3, niacin, B5, pantothenic acid, B6, pyridoxine, B7, biotin, B9, folic acid, B12, cobalamins. And then next, those are Bs, right? Vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. Of these, vitamin D and the B vitamins are often thought of as the brain health vitamins. And what's nice is I did an Excel sheet on what Dave Asprey on his chapter on vitamins. Cynthia says she actually buys frozen vegetables. Good job, Cynthia. You're just a smart woman. I love you. I can't wait to see you tomorrow or Friday. So I did an Excel sheet of what the bulletproof diet Dave Asprey recommends, and I did one also with what Sinclair recommends, and he's a geneticist. And I also did a book on the right side is Dr. Gundry's supplementation also. And then on the other side, I also put what is in the supplements I already take because I wanted to make sure that what I'm taking was cool, right? So, I'm reading these things and what am I going to do? Just not compare to what I'm already taking because I want to make sure, am I taking the right things? So just letting you guys know, I take this, well, me and Sunny take these three, and then I take my pre and probiotics. The pre is the food, so it's time released. It gets released first so that when the probiotic, which is the good bacteria, lands there, they don't just die. They have food to eat and propagate, right? So this is what I take daily. If it's gonna be a little bit more stressful day, like grocery day, or if I'm snowboarding, or if we're camping and we're in the middle of the ocean, paddle boarding or something, I add in a calming blend, adaptive. If I am going out to eat in the restaurant or something and I need a little bit of uh, more enzymes to help me digest or to clean, I use Terrazyme, and I also use Zendocrine. My Terrazyme's over there because it's beside my bed, because after I ate Cynthia's flan, I had to have some Terrazyme, right? A little needed help, a little help, because as we just read, our GI tract is getting older and we need a little bit more help to digest our food. So every morning, while I'm taking the fatty coffee, if you want better absorption of these vitamins, you need to take it with a fat. In fact, the geneticist Sinclair takes it with a spoonful of yogurt, full fat yogurt, not those non-fat ones, right? And what I do is I set aside one for the afternoon already. And then in the afternoon, I do this double thing so I can set aside one for Sunny to take in the morning. And then I take a pre and probiotics first thing in the morning while I'm on an empty stomach. I don't do the pre and probiotics in the afternoon anymore. So, but this is reserved for my second dose later on. I just put it here so it can remind me, because this is my coffee station. I have 2 sinks. I have a much larger sink times 3 of this sink over there. And I love having 2 sinks because I have 6 kids and I don't like washing dishes with super hot water and they want to wash their hands. And then if they put their hand in there, they get burnt, right? You don't want that. So I have this sink over here to kind of just, let me add this water to drip the rest of this coffee. Okay, we're done there. Just making sure it's not going to overflow. Okay, there, it's dripping. Okay. This book is making me remember to take my vitamins. So anyway, going back, I checked out every single down to how many milligrams, how many mcgs are of each vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, and all the B3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 12. Do I have it in the vitamins I'm already taking? And yes, I do. Is it the correct dosage that Gundry and Dave Asprey suggested? Even more. So I wanted to just, it's important to be knowledgeable about these things. I'm putting an effort into buying them. I'm making, making part of our financial fund to make sure that we buy these things. I want to make sure that I'm buying the right thing, just because it's a cool thing, that doesn't mean it has the right things, right? And also, is it in vegetable caps so that it's bioavailable immediately? Because in the sewers nowadays they find a lot of medicines because you ingest it and it comes out still the same because of the shellac that's surrounding the supplements. It's covered in something that you can't digest, so you can't even get to the nutrients that's inside. That sucks, right? It's like you're spending for that and then you're not even getting to it. Okay. B vitamins. B vitamins are crucial to our entire body's health and making it possible for us to extract energy from food, create red blood cells, and protect our nervous system. Consider the sad stories in the news about parents of newborns who found out the hard way that babies must get B vitamins or become ill, because vegetarians do not eat meat and vegans do not eat any animal products. It is very difficult for babies of vegetarian parents to acquire B12 through breast milk or soy milk. They need vitamin B supplementation or they sicken, period. it kind of makes me think about, you know how it's so hard to make babies nowadays compared to back then? And it kind of makes me think, aren't there a lot of vegans nowadays compared to back then? Is there a connection between being vegan and then the fact that it's harder to make kids? Or is there a connection because of the rise of soy products and not having the ability of having kids? Sorry, I'm taking my vitamins. I just have to remember. So I want to take it while I'm taking the fat. So it goes on to say, but it's not just babies or pregnant women or even postmenopausal women who need supplementations. Clinicians have long been aware of the role that deficiencies in B vitamins can play on cognition. But the sum of the literature on the subject has skyrocketed since 2004. As a result, B vitamin supplementation is fast becoming a standard for many populations. The B vitamins all tend to work synergistically, serving as helpers to each other and to other essential vitamins. And because of that, it is difficult to tease out discrete functions for each of them. Nevertheless, let's take a moment to examine what the four most well-researched B vitamins actually do for the brain and body. So these B vitamins help each other, okay? Like number one, riboflavin, B12, B2 is critical as a helper vitamin. It helps the body convert other B complex vitamins into a usable form. So without vitamin B6 and folate, vitamin B9 would be next to useless. So if you only take B9 and then you don't take B6, you can't even digest. You can't even get the usable nutrients from folate. Okay, as just one example, but it's really, really big. Without riboflavin working in concert with the other Bs, it would be impossible for you to release energy from carbs. Imagine eating and not being able to use the energy from that carb, without which the brain and body would immediately begin to falter. So, our body needs carbs, our brain needs carbs, or else it's going to start faltering. We get carbs from vegetables, guys. Okay? It's not just breads. In addition to this crucial sidekick role, the riboflavin acts on its own as an antioxidant, working diligently to remove free radicals from the body. So B2, that's his job. Recently, higher dietary intake of riboflavin has been closely associated with better work recall and cognition. But in a fascinating study, a team of research found that higher intake of B vitamins in early adulthood was associated with better cognitive function in late midlife. So less of, where did I leave my keys? Like most vitamins, riboflavin is water soluble, not fat soluble, which means that you cannot store it in your body for whenever you need it. You must replenish your body's supply daily through diet or supplementation. So the people who don't supplement and then think they're getting the riboflavin from, let's say, a vegetable, let's say broccoli, and then they ate it last Monday, it's gone by last Monday. It's not available Tuesday, it's not available Wednesday, unless you're eating it every day. And then besides the fact that the soil was depleted, so that broccoli is not 100% with that vitamin B2, right? So supplementation is so, so very important. Okay. You must replenish your body's supply daily through diet or supplementation. Conventional wisdom has told us for years that it is difficult for people to be deficient in riboflavin. What with all the fortified foods available? But unfortunately, riboflavin is destroyed by light exposure. So, fortified foods stored in clear glass containers, example milk, get their riboflavin destroyed. What's more, foods rich in riboflavin but packed in water, like canned vegetables, can lose it through leaching into the packing water, which is then usually discarded during cooking or preparation. Interesting, because my friend Chitty and JG just showed me a video where they put okra in some water in a mason jar and then sealed it and then drank the water of the okra the next day when they put it in that water, because the nutrients from the okra, I guess, reading from this paragraph, goes and leaches into the water. And normally, when in canned goods, right, we throw the water, but the nutrients are in the water. Haha. Good to know. A series of recent publications point to the possibility that up to 15% of the general population may have inherited tendency toward secondary deficiency in this B vitamin, meaning they can eat a diet rich in riboflavin and still be deficient. So you can eat it, you can be drinking lots of milk, but you're deficient in B. This is due to a 1-2 combination punch created by a reduced ability to absorb the vitamin, coupled with a greater tendency to excrete it in the urine. So we cannot absorb it and then we excrete it in the urine. This unfortunate combination then seems to produce a homocysteine imbalance in the central nervous system. If this research bears out, riboflavin deficiency may actually emerge as the most prevalent genetic risk factor for terrible neurological diseases such as Parkinson's and dementia. What this book is all about, right? Alzheimer's and dementia. Okay, let's go to vitamin B6. Is another of the essential B complex vitamins. And while B6 deficiency is rare outside of the chronic alcoholism and frank malnutrition, B6 insufficiency is not. Why does it matter? Vitamin B6 works synergistically with folate to help it stimulate revascularization of the arteries leading to the heart. That's what B6 is for. I need this really badly because I had heart failure before. For a long while, folate has received all the credit, but in recent research seems to show that, but for the presence of B6, folate would play no significant role in coronary revascularization. So we need B6 for folate. We need B2 for folate. Folate is B9. Okay? So you might be asking, that's all well and good, but what does revascularization of the heart have to do with my brain health? Glad you asked. The short answer is a lot. Scientists studying cardiovascular disease have long believed in something called the homocysteine theory of cardiovascular disease. Now, homocysteine is an amino acid that is produced when proteins begin to break down. Elevated homocysteine levels are considered potentially dangerous. It can damage arterial walls in the heart. So homocysteine is produced when the protein breaks down. And so it's dangerous Okay, but the theory is not restricted to the heart anymore. Study after recent study has pointed out that the homocysteine theory can be applied equally well to vascular dementia and Alzheimer's patients. Some researchers believe that too high homocysteine levels cause mental impairments directly. In other words, that elevated homocysteine acts as a toxin or a poison of sorts. I see. Either way, the problem is the same. Elevated homocysteine levels affect cognitive health in a huge variety of ways, and vitamin B6 can be one piece of solution for lowering them. Okay, so lowering homocysteine is what we want because it impairs our mental, it directly impairs us mentally, and it affects our heart if we have high levels of homocysteine. As such, a few examples here are some of the results associated with lowering high homocysteine levels in the body. So when we take this B6, a slowing of the atrophy of the brain associated with aging. Yeah, we don't want any atrophy in the brain. It also enhances cognition. It enhances episodic memory, which is your memory of your personal experiences. And it also enhances semantic memory, which is your ability to remember things taught to you. Like what I'm doing now. Will you remember what I'm teaching you? Are you taking your vitamin B6? Are you taking your supplements? Okay, now let's go back to folate and vitamin B12. Going back to folate, when I was pregnant, I always take folic acid. But Dr. Gundry and Asprey over here said you should be taking folate, the more expensive version. Folic acid is the cheaper version, is actually cancerous. That sucks because I took it all those times. Anyway, folic acid has many positive benefits, including the ability to support cognitive processing speed, memory, and fluency in healthy adults. On the other end of the mental spectrum, deficiencies have been shown to play a significant role in neurodevelopmental disorders, psychiatric disease, and dementia. That's interesting. So it affects our psyche, this vitamin B12 and folate. Let's think for a minute. When scientists want to test for the benefits of vitamin B supplementation, it is very useful to have a population of people who intentionally abstain from eating foods that are rich in that vitamin. Like in India, a country with a high population of vegetarians, many people suffer from low vitamin B12 status and high homocysteine levels. Remember, we don't want high homocysteine levels. So, being vegetarian, they have low levels of all this, right? In other words, they are the perfect population to investigate the effect of vitamin B12 supplementation. One such study investigated whether individuals could lower their homocysteine levels more by eating lots of green leafy vegetables or by taking vitamin B12 supplement. The people who ate cooked leafy green vegetables showed no improvement in vitamin B12 levels, and their homocysteine levels failed to drop, because remember, we want it to drop, but this one, when they ate the vegetables, it failed to drop. But those who took the supplement showed higher B12 levels and a significant drop in their high plasma total homocysteine concentrations. Ding, 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 ding. And of course, this is not surprising because B12 is found in animal products, not in plants, which is why it's a common deficiency in vegetarians. Eat your steak, people. Eat your eggs. We can have 4. Dr. Gundry says we can have 4 eggs in a day. Folate, on the other hand, is found in vegetables. In fact, that's where the word comes from, folia in Latin, meaning leaves of foliage. And folate is also key in keeping homocysteine levels down. We want it down. In fact, one of the findings in a recent gold standard systematic review was that long-term supplementation with folic acid and vitamin B12 appeared to improve the cognitive function of healthy older people with high homocysteine levels. Hmm. The review also supported the idea that folic acid could improve the response of people with Alzheimer's disease to some of their medications. Greater vitamin B12 intake has even been associated with a higher volume of gray matter in the brain. We want gray matter, guys. And in people who already have mild cognitive decline, in taking folic acid, B6 and B12 can slow the rate of brain atrophy. So clearly the vitamin B plays a huge role in mental health. So that's vitamin B. We are moving on to vitamin D now. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm doing my time right. Oh my gosh, I only have 10 minutes. What do we do? Vitamin D. Should I just summarize really quick of what else he says? Because I only have 10 minutes, okay? Vitamin D. Let me just say, adults with low vitamin D blood levels perform much worse on a cognitive performance test. Men with lower vitamin D levels perform worse on a test with numbers. Adults aged 65 and older with vitamin D levels less than 12 milligrams were 2.3 times as likely to have a cognitive impairment as those with vitamin D levels. Older adults with vitamin D levels below 60% increased a risk of decline in global cognitive function compared to those with vitamin levels above. There are also 30% increased risk of decline in decision making. So we need this vitamin D for decision making, for our cognitive health. Okay, next is fish oil. For decades, fish has been described as brain food, and for good reason. Humans can manufacture many of the fats we need from other fats or from building blocks found circulating in the body. But this is not the case for omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids, fats, which just like the essential vitamins, cannot be made by the body. So we must be taking it in by food or supplementation or eat fish. Right? Okay, so what else? Essential minerals. Vitamins are not the only game in town when it comes to brain health. Certain minerals have a place at the table too, like copper and zinc. Two trace minerals, which have been shown to be important for cognition. So, copper and zinc. And then he goes on to talk about iodine and trace minerals. So seaweed is your best source of iodine. Sushi. The Japanese eat sushi, right? There's the seaweed, there's the fish, which has the fish oil. They want us to have fatty fish like salmon, halibut. And it can help you so this iodine, the seaweed is your best source of iodine, and it can help you kick out lots of toxic chemicals, which is fluorine, bromine, chlorine, and heavy metals like lead, cadmium, and mercury. It is the definition of a superfood, and historically was eaten by every human population that could trade with the coastal peoples. The Japanese are eating food as their medicine. We should follow suit. Next is amino acids and antioxidants. L-Theanine. Other than water, the world's most popular beverage is tea. Tea contains a special amino acid known as L-Theanine that can alter the brain's alertness and restfulness. Again, going back to the Japanese, they're having the fish, they're having the seaweed, and they're having the tea with every meal. You know what else they do? They go to the forest and forest bathe and meditate there. That's why I cannot wait to get my mountain escape, because it's taking the forest smells, which is what happens during forest bathing. You actually smell the forest and bring it to your limbic system in the brain, and then that affects your mood and your relaxation and your whole body. It's a whole body experience. So for me to get that mountain escape and then get to smell that without having to go to the, because who has the time to get to go to the forest nowadays, right? I mean, I would love to. I can't wait for Thanksgiving. We're going to be in the mountains. I'll do that then. But in the interim, at home, forest escape. Okay. Tyrosine, which is N-acetyl and L-tyrosine, is an amino acid which functions as a chemical building block of dopamine. It's a more heat stable and soluble form of tyrosine, which is often used in supplements. It does everything from helping to build muscle to helping to stimulate the brain by balancing neurotransmitter levels. As interesting study confirmed, this involved placing test subjects in acute environmental stress, like the cold water, and then the study verified that exposure to cold dampens mental performance. No surprise there. And that supplementation with tyrosine protected working memory under that environmental stress. An interesting study to confirm this involved placing test subjects in acute environmental stress, or in layman's terms, unbelievably cold water. You know how people go into those cold baths? The study verified that exposure to cold dampens mental performance. No surprise there, and that supplementation with tyrosine protected working memory under that environmental stress. So when you're under stress, you can still work, your brain can still work when you take tyrosine. Okay, that's what I'm getting from that. Next is L-carnitine. L-carnitine is derived of the amino acid lysine, and acetyl L-carnitine is a very well-researched supplement synthesized from L-carnitine to be more biologically available. It serves as a powerful antioxidant by promoting the creation of a certain kind of free radical scavengers that roam the body. Supplementing with this used successfully to promote attention, concentration, better reaction times, and improve performance on memory tests. I love that L-carnitine is in my vitamins and supplements. I love that my vitamin supplements already has all these things, like the next one we're talking about, CoQ10. So I don't have to think about all these things. But again, I did an Excel sheet just to make sure that everything was there, okay? CoQ10 spends a page and 2 pages and 1/4 a page just on CoQ10. I know you guys know about CoQ10, so I'm not going to touch on it too much because we're running out of time. I only want to make sure I'm only here 1 hour. Next is Herbal Support. There are many herbs that have been used for centuries to improve sharpness and memory, and recent research has started delving into the actions of these plants. The challenge is that plants are very complicated, and it's often not simply on one compound in the plant, but rather interaction of multiple compounds. Let's take a look at what are the most popular brain herbs. Ginkgo biloba. Yay, it's also in the vitamins. It's also in the lifelong vitality pack. It's for mental accuracy, mental calmness, short-term memory, general intelligence, visuospatial abilities, and attention processing speed. Ashwagandha root is for hundreds of years have been revered in Asia for its antioxidant, rejuvenating, anti-inflammatory properties. But recent studies have shown that there's more to love about this lowly root than its ability to protect the human body against cellular damage. It's also in my vitamins and supplements. Bacopa is another herb that has been shown to improve cognitive function. It has been used traditionally in the Ayurvedic medication, the same as the one previously, the Ashwagandha. Same thing for cognition and improving intelligence. In test subjects over 65, it showed significant improved delayed word recall. Could remember items and pick up important details amidst irrelevant information. Um, so that's it. That's chapter 6. And thank you for listening to me, guys. Um, when I found that out, that takes care of the brain, I immediately wanted to make sure that my parents are taking it every single day, because I want to have them for as long as I can possibly, as God possibly allows, right? And letting them know what these books are saying and letting them know what foods to watch out for, and which foods to enjoy, for parties or for celebrations, but not on a daily basis, um, has helped me and is helping my family, and which supplements to be using, which companies to trust that have this supplements in food form. Because remember, let food be thy medicine. Sometimes when you take a supplement and it's not in food form, your body will want to get rid of it. So if you are showing up with yellow pea, that's because your body's saying, nope, this is not food. I want it out. It's like your body's way of throwing up. And I love that with these vitamins that I'm taking, that's not happening, because the food is bioavailable for me. Thank you for listening, guys. And I'll be on again on Friday. And the chapter on Friday is chapters, 7, the 28-day plan, how to manage your blood sugar, trade real food for fake food, add MCT into your diet. Hello, this was published in 2015, and MCT is already there. I didn't even know about MCT until 3 years ago. How we reduce stress, how we should be sleeping, exercising. I can't wait to read that to you guys. That's on Friday for anyone willing to listen. And I'm going to save these here, just so that you guys can share it with your family and friends. You know, okay, just took a picture. All right. Thank you again. And see you, Cynthia, on Thursday or Friday for our walk. Okay, bye. All right. Thank you for listening on Facebook. And I'll save this here also. And thanks for watching, and hope I see you guys on Friday.